We engage in authentic conversations about our weekly entrepreneurial goals while exploring business, failures, success, and personal growth.
We're going to continue to work and get better at this, so thanks for tuning in.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Our vision will highlight a diversity of guests who are creatives, industry leaders, and individuals creating positive change within our communities. Join us on the Our Vision podcast.
Our shared journey to become better humans.
It's not only our vision, but it's your vision too.
FSU. Welcome to the Our Vision podcast. Brad and I have been discussing how we're going to do our format. We're playing around with it a little bit today. So we got an hour in 1 week, right? So when we were done with our last episode, how many minutes do we have left?
15.
15. So we're going to start right now. One of the things I was thinking about today when we were doing that video shoot or photography shoot for the kids at a school for children with autism, I ended up picking my drum up. I had a djembe there. So when I brought that home, it really, when I walked into the room, because I used to teach there, so it was sitting there, I was like, oh, I'm going to bring it back with me home, right? And I got to thinking about it as life as experiences, right? Because that's one of the experiences I had when I was in Florida. Some of the first people I met was at this drum circle that I would go to every Sunday on the Indian River. And while participating, at first just visually watching it go on, and then inching in and eventually started doing drumming, just sitting by the river, and you'd see like little dolphins off in the river, and people would come, and some people would play, some people would dance. There was an older guy there that would come play saxophone and all that. But just a great time, Brad. And it was an experience. I didn't know hardly anybody in Florida when I got there. So this gave me an opportunity to start meeting people. But one of the people I met there, and it's been too many years, he was responsible for mapping out some of the freshwater cave, aquifer spring caves and all that. They would dive down through and map those out. I didn't even know if there was freshwater springs in Florida. Did you know that?
I think I've heard of it before. I mean, I know there's a lot of freshwater lakes and things like that. I mean, where was it at?
Well, we lived in northern. Eventually, I had gone to experience one, but I lived in northern Florida. So that would have been. I lived in the middle of the state, 35 miles north of West Palm Beach, in a town called Stewart, and Indian River was near there, and that's where we would go to this drum circle. But I don't know about you, like we get busy in our life. We've been talking about that balance, but to me, that was my balance. Like, if I wasn't working, I needed to find a way to be out in nature and be outdoors. And that's how I ended up finding these people. So to me, it was a wonderful experience. Like, I was like, oh, this is, just, and it changed throughout the seasons. So you'd have real transient kind of people living in Florida coming and going and that kind of thing. And so, in the spring, it looked different than the winter, and the numbers would drift. You might end up with 10 people there, or you might end up with 50 or 60 people in the park doing this up all the way till sunset. So I always thought that was an interesting experience. But what was neat was the different people that I had met. I met a Cuban artist there who was straight from Cuba, of course, and was now a citizen. And he did architectural design. You know how you see the pillars? He would do molds to do like some kind of casting for the decorative work that you see on buildings sometimes. I ended up going to his shop, but I had met him around that area, and he was part of the drum circle also, and come hang out with his family and kids. And just some of the artwork that we were able to see through him was pretty amazing, which then led me to experiences, right? So I don't know about you, but I want to have more experiences in life. I think it's one of the reasons why we're doing some of the stuff we're doing, is to have more of our time back to have experiences.
Yeah, that's a big reason.
Yeah,
to live life. And what time was this in your life?
Oh man, I was probably like, I'm bad with time, that with me, but it was before I was back in the area about a year and a half before you met me. So that's how long this has been. So
was this before you came to school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just gotten back, and so that was like maybe a yearish. But I'm bad with time. So if it's different, it's different. But yeah, so I'd been down there for quite a few years working. I had built sailboats and did quality control. And so that was while I was near the ocean. And so this is how I ended up getting to know these different groups of people down there, the artists and the Drum Circle. And then ultimately knowing that Florida has freshwater springs. I had no clue. And if you're listening, take time to go look at some of the images online. I guarantee you, next time you think you want to go to Disney World, next time take your family to one of these springs. Like it's...
Where is it?
There's hundreds.
I mean, they're all over.
There's hundreds
Florida.
of them, but in northern Florida, you can find state parks that allow you to go there.
And you said they come from aquifers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I didn't know until I talked to this guy at Indian River at the Drum Circle. And he had said, well, we were in the 60s. We were mapping these places out. And I was like, it's really cool. So I ended up meeting a woman I fell in love with. Her name was Amanda. And she was a musician there. And she was really good about having experiences. We, like, pretty much when we weren't working for somebody else, we were doing our thing. We were either exploring Florida or going on a trip or doing music or just kind of hanging out. And so she was really just kind of lighthearted and when she didn't work for anybody. She had a master's degree and she would clean houses and play music and made quite a good living at it. And I was building boats. And so when we get the day off, we'd go explore, and I think a lot of people do that. I think we go, either on a bike ride or we go places, but she was really, really open to it. So we go down to this place and I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name of the state park in but if you type in northern Florida freshwater springs, it'll come up and just check them out. They're unbelievable. So we go, we take the day. At the time I had a convertible, so we had the top down. It was a beautiful day out. And we get up there, and it was my first time. I was born in Miami and never seen any of this, which is also, I've been to Florida I don't know how many times and never even knew they existed. Yeah. So we get there, and it's like this, I don't know how to describe it, but when we pulled in, kids are jumping into where the source of it's coming out. And just the laughter, and then around it was, I know it's going to sound like kind of like a fairy tale, but there was like butterflies and birds drinking out of it and just crystal clear, brother. And the temperature is consistent. I can't remember what the temperature was, but it's cold. It was a cold aquifer. So yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen, we have something similar to that in Ohio, but not quite. It's like what's it called? The Blue Hole.
Yeah.
Where the trout streams are. And it's very, very clear. And for Ohio, that's the clearest water that I've ever seen in Ohio. So I get there, I got my shorts on, and I dive in. Like I can't not do it almost immediately within 5 minutes of being out of the car. And I'm trying to swim down, and I can't tell you how deep it was, but it was pretty deep. And there's so much force with the water coming out that you can't even get to the bottom. But the neat thing about it, so if you ever get a chance, whether you're listening or whether it's you, brother, don't go to Disney World. Take your family to go see some of these natural occurrences that, being in nature. Because you can take rafts and you can river ride down. And I guarantee you, if you don't come from an area where there's really fresh water, clean water like that, you've never seen anything like it.
I've been in the Caribbean, I think Grenada. I was at a hot spring.
There you go.
But nothing like what you're explaining. It was like kind of mucky water, but it was pretty neat. It wasn't crystal clear.
But those experiences, when you speak about that experience off air before to me a little bit about that, you always brighten up. Like you seem happier when you're talking about it.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. It felt different down there. I felt good.
Dominica was the island you speak about?
Dominica was my favorite.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just really chill, laid back, relaxed.
Yeah.
We weren't getting harassed by taxi drivers constantly. It was just it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And going up into the rainforest.
And I think some of the good things about those kind of experiences, like we're talking about when whether you're talking about Dominica, the freshwater springs, or I'm sure people have had a ton of experiences that they love. And there's a ton of people that don't get a chance to do this, right? But I think one of the things that happens is like your brain wakes up. You're seeing something new for the first time. It's, maybe different or better than where you've come from. That contrast of seeing something new and the new experiences and the people around it and what, the different activities that you can do around these areas, just wakes you up. And I think that's one of the why, we've been talking about the why. Man, that's why I want to keep on pushing forward on business and to have more funds to be able to go travel. I don't want to be like filthy rich. I just want to be able to have experiences.
Yes.
And so, it doesn't take a whole lot of money. You can do those things in it relatively inexpensively. I think if you do it you're not staying at a hotel that costs you $3,000 a night or a villa that costs $7,000 or $8,000, a night. But yeah, so yeah, those experiences, when you bring up Dominica, you've kind of painted a picture off the air before for me. And I'm like, shit, I want to go see that.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm doing that with the Springs right now with you guys and talking to you, and I just type it in. Just look at these pictures. They're unbelievable. And it's real attainable. How many people take a trip to Florida every year and they go see something? I don't know. They go to Disney World, or they go, sit on a high rise next to the ocean or whatever, and you can still drive and go do these things. And it's, a couple hours away or 3 hours away. And I think it's just so worth it to go have these experiences. And that's just one of my trips that I've enjoyed. So I just wanted to share that with you today. We had 15 minutes to talk a little bit, and we still got a few more minutes here, but
yep.
I just wanted to share a story with you that how beautiful that was and how that has always stayed with me, being able to do these kind of little excursions.
So with that experience you had in particular, what was it about that experience that made you want to experience more of that?
I think it was just the relationship that I had built with not only this person that I went with, but that energy that I already had leading up to that day. I was pushing forward to have experiences. So I would say it really had made me feel like just felt good for the day, or felt happy about the day. And it provided a visual memory that I've always gone back to. It's kind of peaceful, just floating down a river that's completely where you can see the bottom, and you see the grass that's growing in the fresh water, kind of floating back and forth. And you see a turtle, swimming away, but it's clear. And I'd never seen that. We live around rivers that are very mucky and, and dirty visually, and to see something that clean, and the wildlife around it, and the people too, even the people, because you were seeing people that were experiencing that for the first time also, and they just were happy because of that experience. Like it's something new for them also, And I think sometimes as we get older, sometimes we don't have that freshness, that newness that happens to us often. And I think this is one thing, if you're listening, or brother, if you ever get a chance, is like, it's worth doing. It's something new. It's going to spark you. And I think you probably had that experience when you went to the island. You see that clear water and the rainforest, and you never seen a rainforest before. And you get this energy boost of seeing something new. And I think we need to provide that in our life sometimes, instead of going through I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and then I do this, and I do this, and repeat, and I think you need to take time to maybe explore life sometimes.
Or stuck in one location where you're not experiencing other people and different ways of life and nature.
Yeah. Well, and I think you bring up a really valid point, is the other people, right? Because not everybody's the same in Sandusky, Ohio as they are in Florida. And not everybody's the same in Georgia. And not everybody's the same in Italy. And not everybody, the culture is different.
Experience different cultures.
And I think that, that breathes into us a little bit of tolerance and, oh, wait, the world can be a little different.
I think we can learn a lot from that too, by experiencing other ways of life, different cultures, different parts of the world.
Yeah. If
you can't get around the entire world, there's plenty of places in your own country.
Well, and even, I know that brings up a really good point too. You don't have to wait till you have enough money to go to Florida. Wake up, look around, read what's near us that we can go see that we haven't seen before, and just have that experience for the day. Because there's a lot of beautiful places right here in the United States, and each one of our states has something to offer.
Start in your state.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think it just opens you up to a whole different world. It makes you more motivated to try and do other things. And then, like you said, you get to understand maybe a way people are living, or maybe understand, oh, this is why in that particular state park, they're really promoting clean water, making sure things don't run down, because you got all this beautiful crystal clear water. Lake Tahoe is that way. They really educate the people around Lake Tahoe as to what runoffs is and why we want to keep that clean. I remember in Lake Tahoe, I could swim like 57 feet down or 60 feet down and see crystal clear water in the middle of a lake.
So what's top on your list for the next experience?
I really want to get out of country. and I only have 30 seconds here, and we'll have to touch on that another day. But Italy's my next one. I would like to walk a lot of it and ride a bike, and that's one of the things I would like to do. Stay at some hostels and things like that. So that's one on my list, and it will happen. Like it's
in Italy because you're Italian. Is that
that's where part of my family.
That's where your grandfather's from.
Yeah, one
right?
of my yeah. So I mean, I want to go see that, but it's something I want to experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's on my list. So, yeah.
Well, let's make that happen for you, Joe.
Yeah. So that was my story about state parks and life as experience. So I hope everybody gets a chance to have an experience this week, even if it's a short one in your neighborhood, or go see something new or start planning something. But we're going to end it. It's been we had 15 minutes left for this week, and we figured we'd jump on real quick and give a little story here. So thanks for listening. You can reach us at where, Brad?
hello@ourvisionpodcast.com.
And please.
Thanks for sharing, Joe.
Yeah, thanks. Just something simple, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, guys. Have a great week.
Peace out.
Peace.